Finally, after 3 long months, I bring to you my new Reaper configuration version 2.0. Last video I made was on version 1.3, but I changed so many things, fixed so many scripts, added new things, so it was worth a whole version number update. I also figured out how to make a repack repository on GitHub for Reaper, so now you can just go to repack and import repository and you'll have me right here. So every time you synchronize, if I changed anything, updated things, added new things, you will get them in Reaper without re-importing my config file every single time. Now, if I make a very big change and I change a ton of things, I'll give you the config file. I made another repository that has all the different things. So right here will be my latest config file for Reaper. And if you don't want to import the entire configuration, you can just get the keyboard shortcuts or just the mouse modifiers or just the icons or the theme in case you already have a configuration, but you just want some of the things that I did. And in the next video, I'll show you how you can make your own repack repository on GitHub. It's really simple, but I made a lot of mistakes and had to do the same work over and over again. So I'll show you the simplest way to make your own repository. Now, the big warning. I've seen this on the first video and the second video. If you have not saved your Reaper configuration and you import my configuration into your main Reaper installation, you will lose yours. Okay, I'm telling you, I hold no responsibility for this. Save your configuration first, or you can do a portable installation of Reaper that is completely independent from your main installation. So to save your configuration, you're just going to go to the preferences, general, and export configuration. I'm using this Reaper to record my voice, and another one that I'll show you my configuration on, and another one with the previous version. Reaper is amazing. You can have as many instances of it as you want and open as many projects in each instance as you want. Do that in Pro Tools if you can. After you create your folder, you're going to install Reaper into that folder. So I'm going to hit portable install and browse, and I'll choose the folder I just created, hit next, install. And you also want to install the SWS extensions into the same folder. So I'm going to browse and go to my folder, hit next. And lastly, you want to go to the user plugins and drag the repack.dll into that folder. So now you're safe. You installed Reaper and the SWS extensions and repack completely independently from your main Reaper installation. So to get my configuration, you're going to go to the description box of this video. It has a link for this repository, and you want to download the Daniel Reaper Pro Tools version 2.0 .reaper config zip, that file. You'll click on it and hit the arrow to download, and you can save it somewhere. Then you'll go to Reaper into the preferences and up to general and import configuration. And you're gonna find this and double click on it. Okay, save project. No, just hit import. And now your Reaper is exactly like mine. A few more things before I show you everything I changed. This configuration works on Windows and Mac and Linux. I've been seeing this kind of comment on the previous video. Oh, I wish it worked on Mac because they see me using Windows. I tried it on all systems. At home, I use it on Windows and Linux, and at work, I use it on an iMac. It's the same for all. With that being said, file paths are different between different systems. So if you have VST plugins, you'll just have to find them again on your Mac. And Linux doesn't have VST anyway. So you'll go to preferences and scroll down until you see VST and edit path, and you're gonna delete that one and add system path and rescan the plugins. Also on Mac, because it has an inverted scrolling direction, you might have to reassign the horizontal scroll to the inverted one. So I go to actions by shift and question mark, and I'll find shortcut, hit shift and scroll, and this is the action. So instead of reversed, I'll choose this one. I'll add action and do the same shift and scroll, hit OK. Now it should scroll correctly on Mac. Now we can get into all the changes that I made. First of all, something I'm really excited about is I made 3 new plugins. So if you go to the JS and type my name here, you find the vocal rider. This took me way too much time to make, but it works the way I want it to work. And this is doing roughly the same thing as the Waves vocal rider. So you've got your target level and the speed, how fast you want it to react, if you want it to react so fast or very slow. And also the minimum gain and maximum gain. This is the range right here. How far can it go down and how far can it go up? These are the numbers. And the idle position is this arrow right here that you can, I think you can grab. Yes, you can grab and move around. So when it rests, instead of resting in the middle of the range, I can move this to make it rest somewhere else. And also, if the signal is very quiet, it will just be off. It will not work. So it wouldn't gain up breaths or things that you don't want. I'm really proud of this plugin. The defaults work exactly like I want them to. If your signal is coming in at minus 18 dB like it should, you can just leave the defaults and have it work. Don't do anything to it. Second plugin I made is just a simple delay, because for live stream mixing, I need that a lot, and I'd be using the rear delay and changing the settings for that. And I just want something to delay the signal without doing anything else to it. So it has two modes, linked and unlinked. If it's linked, you can move this and it will delay both channels from 0 to 500 milliseconds, and you can unlink it and delay each channel separately. So you can see right here, they are moving separately. If I link it, they are together. The left slider is the main control. If you move the right one, it will just snap to the other. And now thinking of it, I should probably add a polarity switch for each channel independently. When I do that, you'll get the update. And lastly, I made a simple gain plugin that can go from minus 12 to plus 12. And I'll just use that as an input gain in the beginning or anywhere else, without using a compressor, for example, to use the gain slider of it. I also changed the splash screen, the thing that you see when you open Reaper. I made that from scratch in 3D and I gave it to you. So when you open Reaper, this is what you'll see instead of the default Reaper image. And I put the image in the color themes folder. So if you go to options and show Reaper resource path in Explorer Finder, and you go into the color themes, this is the image. Now, because Mac OS has a different file path, you might have to reassign that image if you're just seeing the default Reaper one. So you'll go to your preferences and general and advanced UI system tweaks, and under custom splash screen image, you'll browse to that color themes folder, and this is the image. If you don't want it, you can just delete that path and you'll get the default Reaper one. Also, I forgot to mention, in order to make my configuration file very small, it's less than 2 megabytes, I had to leave out the icons. I didn't include the icons with it. So if the entire theme has blue buttons and your icon looks green like that, this is the default. It should look like that. So all you got to do is go back to my Reaper data repository on GitHub and download the toolbar icons. Just grab the toolbar icons folder, and in your Reaper resource folder, you're going to go into data and replace the toolbar icons with mine, so they become blue like this. Now let's get into the smaller fixes and new scripts that I added. First change is when I click the bottom of an item, I was getting the razor edit selection and time selection, but the item itself was not being selected. So I fixed that script to where when I click the bottom of the item, it also selects the item. You can see the difference on the left. I have this white border that shows me that the item itself is selected. And why is that important? Because sometimes if I want to do fades between items or other things, I need it to be selected. I also fixed the shortcuts that go to the beginning of the project and to the end of the project. Enter goes to the beginning and Alt Enter goes to the end. But if I have a selection and I click here and do Shift Enter to select everything to the beginning, it does that fine. But if I want to select a clip, so I have a selection and I hit Shift Enter now, that's not working. I had the clip selected before, but now it's just from where the cursor was. So let's try to do that again with Alt Shift Enter to select to the end of the project. If I don't have a selection, it works. But if I do have a selection like this and I do it, it's starting from where the cursor is. I don't want that. So I fixed that in such a way that if I have the item selected, I can hit Alt Shift Enter and it would select everything to the end of the project without messing up the previous selection. Same thing, if I have this item selected and I want to extend the selection to the start of the project, I can hit Shift Enter and it wouldn't mess up that selection. It would just extend. Let's see it here. If I do that and this, see, it didn't work. And I also fixed it to send the edit cursor to the beginning of the project. So these are little things that I wouldn't notice unless I am actually using Reaper for my job. And I've been doing that. I'm recently using Reaper in the studio and I did a whole batch, 25 episodes in Reaper. And I noticed these small things and I fixed them. Also, if I hit enter, it goes to the beginning of the project. But here, the selection still exists. I don't want that. So I fixed it to where if I hit enter, it also clears all selection, razor edit and time selection. Same thing to go to the end of the project, Alt Enter also clears the selection. I also changed the mouse modifier to where if I click on the bottom of an item and move it, you can see right here, the selection is not moving with it. But right here, if I click and drag, the time selection will move with the item. And that's what I want. I also changed the modifiers for the envelopes. So if I open the envelope for that, and for that, if I grab a point and hold Shift, I can just move it horizontally without changing the value. And holding control will allow me to make finer adjustment. It makes the movement a lot slower so I can be exact with the value. Otherwise, it will be kind of quick. The control thing is just like Pro Tools. In Pro Tools, when I hold control, I can make the point move slower. And for the envelope segment, this is a segment right here. I made it so if I have a time selection, I can still move the segment without messing it up. Because right here, if I have a time selection that is not exactly on the segment and I try to move it, it will break it apart. So this ignores the time selection. And also if I hold control, I can move it slower. In the envelope plane, by default, if I hit control, it will free draw. I want when I hit control to be able to insert a new point. So this is what I did here. Now when I hit control, I can insert a new point, drag it around, okay, control, insert new point. And also, by the way, something that is not in Pro Tools, if I double click on the point, it will reset it to the default value. I like that a lot because a lot of times I'm doing turn down the music and then at the end of the section, turn it up again. And I just want to bring it back to the default. I don't want to move it until it's at 0. It's much faster to just double click. And then if I need to move it, I hold shift and move it horizontally. That is a much quicker way to work. Left clicking on the bottom of the item will also send the edit cursor to the beginning of it. Before it was not like that. If I click, the cursor will be under the mouse. And the reason I was doing that earlier, because if I have a really long clip and I click on it, it was sending the cursor to the beginning of the view and it was moving the view and I didn't want to move the view. But now I figured out how I can send the cursor to the beginning of the clip without moving the view. Again, small things, but they do matter and they become really annoying if you're doing this kind of work every day and you're doing it a lot. Now, something I'm really excited about. In Pro Tools, if you do a time selection, you hit play, you will play from the start of the time selection. On here, it doesn't do that. So I made a script that will see if there's time selection, and if there is, it will play from the start of the time selection. So let's put the cursor right here and I'll do a time selection and I hit play. It starts from here. Whereas in this Reaper, it doesn't. If I put the cursor here, it's not starting from the time selection. Whereas here, let's change the time selection. It starts from it. By the way, if I have the insertion follows playback, it will ignore that. So I can do this and it will ignore playing from the time selection. But if I turn it off and hit play, it goes to the beginning of the time selection. That's really cool. And I also changed how splitting items work. So right here, I was using the B shortcut to split an item. And if playback is going on, I hit B again. This is annoying. Sometimes I want to have playback, but I just want to put the cursor somewhere and split on the cursor, not wherever the playhead is. So I moved to this shortcut. Instead of play cursor during playback, I switched to the previous one without the playback. But this shortcut caused me a problem because if I use it, it will keep both items selected. And if I come to move one, I'm moving both together and I have to do one extra step of unselecting and then moving this. This got really annoying. So I made the custom script to unselect the item so I can just move it after cutting. Now, when pasting really long items, I found a problem. If I do a long selection like this and hit copy and I want to paste it here, see what happened? It threw me to the end of the selection. I don't want that because usually when I am pasting, I want to also do a fade right here. So I don't want the cursor to be at the end and to move the view. I want to stay wherever I put the cursor to paste. So I fixed it in this one. I made another paste script. So now if I click here and I hit paste, I stay where I am. The view doesn't move, the cursor doesn't move, and I can just do this and fade. And also if there is a time selection, it will paste from the start of the time selection. And if there's no time selection, it will paste at the edit cursor. Whatever was pasted, these items will be selected so I can quickly move them around if I want to. The next script is viewer request. So in Reaper, if you have folder track and you expand it, it will only expand in the edit window or in the mixer window, not in both. So someone in the comments asked me if there is a way to expand both at the same time. So I did a simple script. It's called toggle expand folder track in mixer and edit window. And if I just select that track and run the script, it will open the folder in both the arrange view and the mixer view. You can assign it to whatever shortcut you want and hit that quickly and open and close the folder. I also wrote a script to make my life easier because a big part of my job is recording voiceover and doing dubbing and stuff like that. So when the talent finishes, I want to change the routing of the track to the processing bus. And instead of clicking multiple things, change the routing, turn this off, send it to this bus, 3 or 4 clicks, even dragging a track inside another one to make it child so the audio goes through the parent. That doesn't really fit my workflow. So this script that I made and I assigned to the shortcut O will change the track routing from main to processing bus. So here's how it works. I'll do a track and call it VO bus. And if I click on this one and hit O, first of all, it turned the track off from the main mix. So it's not going to the master track anymore. And it also added a post fader send at 0 dB that is going to the track that is called VO bus. So I can very quickly hit O, bring the track back to the main mix without the processing, hit O again, send it to the processing. And I need to do that quite often because sometimes if we need to fix something or if we didn't finish the recording in one session, we're doing it on multiple sessions, the talent wants to hear the recording as it is without the processing. This button will quickly change between processed and unprocessed. So to make this script work for you, you will go to the action list and search for Daniel change track routing from main to processing bus and hit edit action. And you want to change 2 things. Right here in the section about finding the VO bus, you'll go to the line that says if name equals VO bus. This is searching for the track. You're just gonna change the name here. Instead of VO bus, you can type processing or something else, whatever it is. And this line right here is for error handling. If this track does not exist in your project, it will tell you that it didn't find this one. So also type the same name right here and you can use whatever name you want. And when you save, hit Ctrl S. Now this script will work for your situation. Next script is for zooming. In the default Reaper, zooming in and out is very slow and I need to hit double the amount of keystrokes in order to achieve the same amount of zoom. So I made a script to make the zoom faster. So I can much more quickly go from very zoomed in to very zoomed out. In the previous version, it's much slower to zoom in and zoom out. Something else is moving the view. In default Reaper, if you zoom in and out, it will always snap to the edit cursor. No matter where you are, even if the edit cursor is not showing in the view, it will snap to it. And sometimes I don't want to do that. And this is not how Pro Tools works anyway. So I fixed that to where if the edit cursor does not show in the view will stay wherever it is. You can see right here in the navigator that the view is not moving. It's just zooming in and out. And if the edit cursor shows inside the view, now it becomes the center of the view. Let me do this again. Zoom in, zoom out. The view is not moving. If the edit cursor is inside the view, it will become the center of the view. That might sound like something small, but it's actually really annoying if it's not like that. I also made zoom presets. Previously, I was using another person's presets, then they disappeared for some reason. So if I hit 3, it's a particular zoom preset. 4, it's zoomed out a little bit more. 5 is zoomed out even more. And these are almost the same as the Pro Tools zoom presets. However, in my scripts, they are taking into account the amount of seconds that show on the screen. But if you have a bigger screen, higher resolution that shows more time, it's not a percentage of the screen. Okay, so the length of the audio clip on your screen might be different from mine. But here's how you can change them. I assigned them shortcuts 3 and 4 and 5, not of the numeric keypad, the normal numbers on top of the keyboard. So if you go to horizontal zoom preset number 5 and edit action, you can just change this first number right here, the target range. This is the amount of seconds. So if you want it more zoomed out, you can put more seconds, so 30 seconds instead of 24. If you want it less zoomed out, you can lower the number of seconds. When you hit Ctrl S to save, the actions will take place. I also changed the recording meters back to green because right here it's red. And I noticed that when I'm recording, I can't really see when I hit minus 18 dB. Whereas right here, if I hit that line, I can see. So just more uniform meters that look the same everywhere. And if you noticed, I changed the colors of the transport like Pro Tools and also the big clock, because even though this looks prettier, it's not actually very visible. I also changed the colors of the markers because right here they are not very visible and the talent was like, I can't see the markers. He's not able to see where to start speaking and where to stop speaking. So I also changed the color of the markers like the color of the markers in Pro Tools, and also the entire edit window. I made the colors like Pro Tools. Before, after, before, after. I understand the green and black might not look very pretty, but it's very effective. I can see what I'm doing. The talent can see where he's recording. So to me, that's more important than looking pretty. I also fixed the half speed playback script, which is shift space, and it will play the project at half the speed. Previously, if I hit it again, it would terminate. So if I do this right here and hit the action again, it will ask me, do you want to terminate this instance or do you want a new instance? And I don't want that to appear if I click the action multiple times. So I simply added a line at the beginning of the script, set action options to number 2. And now even if I hit it multiple times, nothing will change. It will not ask me if I want to terminate or not. And when I hit stop, of course, the playback rate goes back to the default one. I also added a double speed playback script that is called shuttle lock in Pro Tools, I think. And the shortcut on Windows is the Windows key and 9 of the numeric keypad. It will play back at double speed. On Mac, it will be Control and number 9 on the numeric keypad. And same thing, if I hit it multiple times, nothing will happen. And also I can go from half speed to double speed directly without stopping. I also fixed the insertion follows playback to not rely on the Reaper preferences to know if it should terminate or not. So I don't want to see that dialog box. So to fix that, I also added this same line, set action options, but instead of 2, I set it to 1. So it will just terminate, it will stop. This will turn off, it will not relaunch. For the others, I wanted to relaunch. For this, I just wanted to stop. So this now is not relying on Reaper preferences. In the script, it knows if it should be turned on or off. And these are all the changes. Wow, I've been recording for 1.5 hours. So just look in the description box. You will see a link for my repack repository. You'll just go to extensions, repack, and manage repositories, and import repositories, and just paste my link right here and hit OK. And if you want my icons or my keyboard shortcuts or mouse modifiers or just the theme or the entire configuration, I have them in another repository that I will also link in the description box. You can go in here and hit the arrow next to code and download zip, and then you'll just extract the folder on your desktop. Use whatever you want. In the next video, I'll show you how to make your own repack repository so you wouldn't make the same mistakes that I made, a very straightforward way without wasting your time. So you can have all your scripts on GitHub, just synchronize, want to give it to someone, be cool and exist in the Reaper package manager. I'll show you how to do all of that. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, click on the video on screen right now, and I'll see you there.